What's going on there, guys? Good evening. The Earthmaster here on the live stream with an update video on this Wednesday evening, February 9th, 2022, about 7:30 p.m. California time. Latest quake out here, a 4.8 earthquake in the southern Atlantic area. It looks like some movement kicking up down there in the South Sandwich Islands as well. Let's go ahead and check out the latest earthquake activity here on the USGS map. Looking at, let's see, let's bring this up here real quick. Meant to do this one. Some activity kind of kicking up here along the west coast, and also down here into the South Sandwich Islands. We had a couple 5.0s today kicking off here. Seen a swarm of movement here over the last 7 days or so within this area. The fives continue in that region today. There is that 4.8 that I showed you guys on the globe, the southern mid-Atlantic ridge. Seeing that movement there within the last hour. I want to cover the west coast movement here real quick. Still seeing some activity up here around the Geyser region. Actually been seeing a larger uptick in earthquake activity here in this region than what we normally see just on the western side of Cobb Mountain. I was just down here today checking out the area. I did a little live streaming from across the way from a hydrothermal plant, which there's not just one, there's many of them out there. And I could only get so far before I run into a secured gate. And it looks like I got to have an appointment to go in and talk to someone about all these earthquakes striking up there. But I did come across some folks up there and chatted with a couple people up there in regards to the earthquake activity. They definitely been feeling these earthquakes, which have been, some of these have been up around the 3 range or so. This here is the last 7 days of 2.5 and above. Some of these 3s up there striking the area around the Cobb Mountain region, around the hydrothermal plants up there. Now, activity in this region is, of course, very typical. We see a lot of movement here on any given day, but it seems as though we're getting a little increase recently in the amount of earthquake activity and also the multitude of quakes that are taking place here in the Geyser area outside of the Cobb Mountain region. I pulled up a map here from about 1980 of earthquake activity specifically around this region, 3.0 and above from the USGS, and it shows 802 earthquakes, excuse me, 3.0 and above, with the largest a 5.0 earthquake. So these earthquakes down there can get somewhat large when they do their procedure, their operation, so to speak, by fracking and fracturing the ground below, about a mile or so below, to create steam and generate it and kind of put it in a direction where they want it to flow. Now, I heard it's kind of interesting, this whole little process out here. Someone mentioned here in the comments on my last video, the live video, about raw sewage injection, right, to create steam, so to speak. And that is, in fact, 100% accurate when it comes to that comment. I can't remember exactly who mentioned it here. But there's a little article here from this website, how wastewater becomes clean energy in California. And I got a couple pictures I'm going to show you as well, where I smelt sewer. And I'm guessing this is where they pump out the sewer, so to speak, and then take it off to do whatever they're going to do. But I definitely had a pretty strong smell of sewage out there where I was at today. Let's see here. So what do we got? So the Geysers geothermal energy plant provides power to most of Northern California beyond the Golden Gate Bridge. 13. There we go. The number 13. That's how many there is out there. Power plants generate over 725 megawatts of energy, enough to supply 725,000 homes. It is the largest geothermal plant in the world. There's a lot of stuff here, a lot of information on that. I'm not going to cover all of this. Let's see here. The only challenge at the geysers is if they run out of steam. But this kind of shows you how active the area is there around Mount Konocti and the Clear Lake volcanic fields around Cobb Mountain. Unlike many sites, the geysers are a dry steam resource. There's no liquid water. Superheated steam held inside the rocks evaporates into the air once it becomes converted to electricity by turbines. Unlike water, it's nearly impossible to trap all the steam to re-inject it into the system. This creates a problem. Although the hot rock remains, the small amount of fluid within it declines. Without steam to drive the turbines, no energy can be produced. Okay, we get that. Here's kind of an overview of the underground area, I guess. See all these little pipes and whatnot going down below this little diagram. That's kind of cool. See, where is the wastewater? 2 projects were established to bring wastewater from 2 portions of the state, Lake County, and from the south city of Santa Rosa. To confront this challenge, Calpine, seen these signs all over the place, Calpine owns this entire area, created the first wastewater to steam powered project in the world. The geysers' hot rocks are injected with reclaimed wastewater to fuel the turbines with steam. There you go. Power to the public, right? Power to the public. Let's see what else we got. They don't really mention about the earthquakes out there. Not too much. A couple of security guards I talked to up there, they can't really get into the area where this is at, mentioned that they feel the earthquakes all the time, and they rock the security shacks up there pretty good. One security guard couldn't speak about it. He acted all very suspicious. Like, why am I asking these questions? You know, it's kind of went up to one security guard, kind of a younger guy, and asked him about if there's anybody I can speak to about this earthquake activity occurring here at the geysers, and you know, if they had a public spokesperson. And the guy couldn't give me a number. He didn't want to give me his name, even though it's funny because his name was right there on his badge. It was so funny, but I just kind of thanked him and said okay, but he just seemed kind of odd. The second guy, he was, I think, the chief of security up there, right before the administrative office there at the Calpine area where I was at. Mentioned about feeling earthquakes, and he was pretty cool. He gave me a number to call to set up a potential appointment to come in and talk to somebody. Hopefully I'll be able to get a tour of the facility. That would be pretty cool. But there's a lot up there, folks. There's a lot up there. I do want to show you some pictures real quick and images of the region. This is kind of from across the way. One of the plants out there, you can see some of the steam kicking up and whatnot in that area. Also got some more of the it's kind of a distant picture here. Let me see if I can bring this back down to the area fit to screen. Okay, this is a region. I'm getting a little bit of buffering here, so hopefully the live stream stays up. But I'm thinking somebody doesn't want me chatting on here right now. But it's okay. Anyway, this here is where I smelt the raw sewage. And if you can see if I can zoom in a little bit, it looks like connections there where trucks pull in and probably dispose of or suck out the sewage and puts it in these pipes here, and then they get sent off to be turned into energy. But yeah, I definitely smelt a pretty large presence of sewage out there in that region. Let me bring this other one up here. There is the, let's pop this up here real quick. A little bit further view of that hydrothermal plant. Everything is dead out there, by the way. I mean, I'm not for sure if they had a major fire out there, but all the trees and whatnot, the underbrush, all dead within this area. We were like pretty much right on top of the region where all these earthquakes are taking place out there in the geysers. So Calpine Corporation, gates all over the place. The guard shacks are a little bit different. They're set up with a manned station. Here's all the dry vegetation, everything dead, all where the earthquake activity is taking place. And I'm not for sure if they had a fire out there or not. I can't remember in this part of the state. I'm surprised there's anything left actually out here in the state of California. But definitely a dry area. Hold on one second here. You can see all the trees and whatnot. They're being just not coming back there. Not a whole lot of green vegetation either in that region. Here's the road going up to the administrative plant prior to the main security guard shack. You can see these pipes here. They're running up and all up and down the road out there. And this here was above. Yeah, actually, I think this was below the area where they pump the sewage out of the tanks, out of the trucks here. So I'm guessing the sewage goes into these pipes and it goes down to wherever it's going to go. Let's see if I had any more. I think that was it. I took a lot of video as well, kind of working on that. I just kind of wanted to give you guys an overview of what I've seen today and the operations that take place down there. Just kind of a crazy area. I've seen a lot of obsidian all over the place when I was traveling down this road. I actually took a lower lake here and hit this road. I believe this is 175 right through here. There's actually another, there it is, Bottle Rock Road. I took this road down here. Kind of goes up here in the mountains, very steep grade to where the hydrothermal plants are. And there's a lot of them. And this is where they fractured the rock and whatnot. Let me see if I can bring up the satellite imagery here of all the steam or all the plants and the operations out here. I mean, there's just a lot of them, folks. Quite a bit. The administrative office, can't remember exactly where it's at. But there's gates all over and there's no access to the public. And I did not feel any earthquakes while I was up there. But I did want to go up there and just kind of tour the area and see if I can set up an appointment to maybe chat with someone about the geysers here. A little bit of activity here, or info on this geyser geothermal field from the USGS. There's a lot of valuable information here when it comes to past eruptive history, future eruptions and whatnot. The earliest, let's see if we can find out when the last one was. There was obsidian everywhere up there. It's pretty cool. Let's see. Let's go into seismicity here, see if we can get a little article on that. Volcanic earthquakes often provide the initial sign of volcanic unrest. Their signals differ from typical tectonic earthquakes because they tend to be found at depths shallower than the 10 kilometers. Yeah, it doesn't really explain a whole lot. I kind of wanted to see where they explain how the fracturing of the ground below them about a mile or two creates that that earthquake activity. Geology and history, future eruptions. There's a picture of Mount Konocti back there. I'll post this website here from the USGS in the description below so you guys can see if you want to read more information. Such a long period of multiple volcanic events and a large volume magma chamber suggests that the Clear Lake system could be in pre-caldera early evolution stage. Like other regions such as Long Valley, California, New Mexico, Valles, New Mexico, Yellowstone, Wyoming, large-scale caldera forming eruptions could erupt huge volumes of ash and tephra, leading to volcanic hazards. So yeah, a lot of potential for this thing to become active in the future. No telling when. Eruptions are likely to be located close to, beneath, or northeast of Clear Lake, especially around the east arm of the lake. Yeah, crazy to think that possibility still exists there. A lot of people don't realize that. You talk to locals up there, and yeah, Clear Lake, yeah, volcano. Yes, it is a volcano. Pretty obvious, a pretty dominant feature out there of looking over Clear Lake. So, Mount Konocti. Geysers. Kind of turning this update more into a little geyser region. It's so funny. I stopped and talked to this one guy that was at the first gate, or it was an unmanned gate, but it was still closed due to the Calpine secured fence. somebody standing outside of it. I kind of asked him about the region and if he knew anything about it. And I asked him if there was a lot of geysers up there. He's like, yep, there was a lot of geysers. They're all up there. But I already knew there are no geysers up there. It's a name. Despite the name of the steam field, no natural geysers exist anywhere in the Geysers-Clear Lake area. So funny. I wanted to start out laughing, but just kind of went with the flow. The name was suggested to early explorers from rising hot springs in what later became the earliest developed part of the steam field. Not going to go into all of this here, but numerous geothermal wells are located in the mountains north of San Francisco. The geysers cover 45 square miles out there in the region, so a lot of potential and heat and energy and hazard exists in this area. And I wanted to go down there just to see the area and kind of figure out, maybe talk to someone and see what was going on with all this increase in earthquake activity. Seems like over the past week or so, we've just seen a dramatic increase. But this count right here, this 802 count here around the geysers area, just a fraction of the earthquakes, 3.0 and above. But remember these magnitudes here, they can kind of get up there a little bit in that level, 5.0 and upper fours within this region. Doesn't mean that this thing is getting ready to blow. This is strictly, I believe, all the hydrothermal operations that are taking place here. With everything that takes place with the raw sewage and creating that the steam and the explosion, so to speak, to power those turbines and create energy for the community out there. I can only imagine what the number is like below 3.0, but we won't cover that. Just 802, 3.0 and above since about 1980. What else is here, folks? Let's go ahead and cover earthquake activity outside of the geysers, where we did see some further movement into the northern part. Northern California, 2.5, well off the coast here. Kind of in an odd area as well. 0.7 kilometers, very shallow earthquake. And I'm not 100% certain which fault system is out here. We just don't see a lot. I'm kind of curious to see if this has been reviewed. It has. So that is standing as that a legit earthquake out there in that region. Just a little odd. Redding did see a little earthquake outside of there into the mountains around the Millville area. 1.8, pretty deep earthquake activity out there. Oregon, pretty quiet throughout the Cascades. A little bit of movement around Mount St. Helens again. And the Seattle fault system, a little earthquake there. And the deeper regions of that fault, 1.6 at 21.5 kilometers below surface. Tremor map. Let's check out the tremor map into the Pacific Northwest, where we have 19 epicenters of tremor along the northern end of the Cascadia, right underneath the Vancouver Island ranges north of Victoria. So a little bit of activity kicking up here in the northern part of the region. No subsequent surface activity that I can see in this region here as far as the USGS map goes. Check out the Earthquakes Canada area map. See if these guys are reporting any subsequent earthquake activity. There's a little bit here. Right there, you guys see that within the last day. Right to the west of the Vancouver Island ranges. So that could be the subsequent movement that we're looking at due to the tremor activity in there. But that wasn't really a lot of tremor, so it's hard to say. Either way, definitely seen a swarm of movement here at the northern end over the last day. Couple threes it looks like here. Just off the Cascadia subduction zone, kind of right around the Juan de Fuca and the Explorer Plate boundary here. Kind of runs across here. No specific movement around the Vancouver area or Victoria. The rest of Canada looks kind of quiet. A little eerie and quiet out here. A little earthquake activity out here outside of Quebec. Looks like the most recent one, a 1.0, but nothing significant taking place in that region at the moment, right? Let's go ahead and back over here to the USGS map, and we'll go back here to the all magnitudes and see what we got. A lot of activity hitting up in New Zealand right now. I was just looking at my phone, quite a bit of activity coming into the North Island, New Zealand area from the EMSC model. We'll check that out here in just a second. West Coast, so looking at the Intermountain West, not a whole lot going on, so we're going to skip those guys for now and go into the California West Coast region, East Coast, or the eastern part of the Sierra Nevada. It's been a long day, It's only about an hour and a half drive from where I live down to the geysers, but it's a lot of windy and steep roads out there. Still seeing that swarm of movement here in the Antelope Valley area once again, kind of kicking back up there. And some activity north of the Lake Tahoe region. Nothing significant, just some very small microquakes, but some activity nonetheless. Ridgecrest region still seeing some movement. A little spotty activity here. A couple twos here in this region of the mountains, southern part of Sierra Nevada. The Garlock fault structure, very, very quiet. And the San Jacinto fault zone. And the rest of Southern California, just kind of an average day down there. No swarming really to report in that area of the state. Check out Texas area, earthquake country in Texas, pretty quiet today. Further movement out there around the Enid area, north of northwest of Ponca City, it looks like. Out there in the Wakita Trend gas fields. Once again, there we go, right? A little swarm of activity. 4 earthquakes striking out there in that region of the world. Out there in the gas fields. Eastern part of the country, pretty quiet. Don't see any further movement. And the Puerto Rico area, all looking, kind of looks like it's dying down a little bit when it comes to the amount of quakes over the last 24 hours. Still seeing some activity along the southwest region of Puerto Rico. But overall, just kind of a typical day out there. Not a whole lot of movement around the Caribbean Sea. South America, what do we got going on out here? Some 4s, upper 4.7 here. Into the Peru-Chile Trench, at least one of them. 93.7 kilometers for this one. A little bit shallower subsequent earthquake activity up north at 10 kilometers for that earthquake. Seeing a ramp up of earthquake activity around the Tonga and the Kermadec Trench regions. Looking at some activity kicking up here in the 4 and 5 range once again with some deep earthquake activity. 4.6 at 519. We also had a 4.6 at 502 kilometers, so some very deep earthquake activity in that region. 4.7 around the Tonga, Samoa area. Papua New Guinea, looking at a 5.0 at 56.2 kilometers, and some further movement up here around the Japan Trench. Now we got to watch this area pretty closely here. Seeing a little bit of migration northward with some deeper movement here to this region. Nothing big, but 4.1, 4.2, 4.3. Striking over the last 24 hours. Got to watch this area pretty closely here for some subsequent larger movement. Middle East, Eastern out here around the Mediterranean Sea, pretty quiet. Did see a little bit of activity in Russia, the 4.4 and a 4.7 in Italy, of all places. They did have a 4.2. I think we've seen some activity here within this region. Actually, that's the only earthquake activity here within the last week or so, at least as far as 4.0 and above goes. Either way, kind of a little shaker out there around the Italy area. What else we got here, folks? There's a movement down in the South Sandwich Trench. There's another earthquake that just came in to the Fiji Islands area just now. Just a little bit ago, about 15 minutes ago, it looks like. 4.3. Another deep earthquake. Look at that, 527 kilometers. That's pretty deep earthquake activity kicking up there. Got to watch this area pretty closely, especially along the Kermadec Trench. Every time it seems like, at least recent times right now with the deep movement, we see subsequent shallower swarms here in the Kermadec Trench area. Got to watch the Tonga volcanoes as well. Hawaii, what's going on out there in the beautiful Big Island southeast flank? Still pretty active. No major swarms to report around Mauna Loa or any volcano for that matter. Just the southeast flank showing some movement. Lower East Seamount pretty quiet. No activity to report. One little oddball 2.8 well off the northwest coast. The rest of the island chain looks pretty quiet out there. What do we got here in Alaska? Some further movement around the volcano chains out there. Nothing significant, just a little bit of microquakes. And still swarming out here in the Cook Inlet area. Just seeing quite a few 2s and 3s over the last couple days, and some movement up around Denali as well. Going to check out the Yellowstone National Park. The swarming activity kind of died off pretty quickly, didn't it? We had a little bit of movement last night or yesterday. Today, not a whole lot. These swarms kind of come and go. Although, look at this activity right here. This was earlier this morning. A little west of them, Old Faithful, Purple Mountain, Mary Lake, all picking up that signature. Let's go ahead and zoom into this little, it's a little, I call it a little fit. Kind of like when a little child has a little tantrum, screaming fit. That's kind of what this is here at Yellowstone. Just a, it's kind of like a scream, if you will. There's probably at least 15 earthquakes or so within this little time frame. Talking about right here, maybe possibly more, but it's just a short amount of time, but a large, what's the word? Splatter, sputter. Can't really think of the word, but you get it, right? Just a little fit, if you will, screaming from Yellowstone National Park there with a little bit of earthquake activity all at once. Nothing significant, but definitely showed up on all the other seismographs in that area of the right around the central part of the caldera, a little west of them. Looks like to be the main region for the earthquakes there. You can see a little bit more detailed on this map. Not quite as cluttered, but it's definitely a little bitty fit that Yellowstone had there earlier today. But since then has died off, and only looks like maybe one little earthquake here within the last hour. What do we got here for? Let me go back here and check and see if the USGS shows anything up here. Normally takes them a little while. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they're short-staffed. I don't know. Do you guys need some help out there, USGS? Send the data my way, and I will, kind of get this data out there for these guys. There is the earthquake activity, some of it. These guys only showing, looks like 5 earthquakes, largest a 1.8, but you can see within that short amount of time here, it looks between 10 and 1140 or so. But there's definitely more than that 5, and I'm sure they will get to it. But yeah, a little bit of activity striking there in the Yellowstone National Park. It's been pretty quiet, so it's about time we see like a pretty good significant swarm. I'd kind of like to see one of those pretty soon. Keeps the data interesting, right? Solar weather. Let's go ahead and check out this solar weather report here from the solarham.net website. Did see some movement, at least some activity here in the sea flare region. Some lower sea flaring, it looks like, here over the yesterday and today. Looks like geomagnetic forecast for a G1 storm tonight. Doesn't look like it's hit yet, at least according to the KP index, but I'm sure that will amplify a little bit. When was this put out? Maybe it's not as powerful as they're expecting. Either way, a die down of activity over the next few nights following this G1 class storm tonight. Flare activity, and kind of iffy. Not a whole lot of potential. 70% chance, the highest for sea flare from the sunspots up here, 2941, kind of facing the Earth side right now, and these other departing sunspots facing away from Earth. Still have that potential back around here. The bin, which will be facing us here pretty soon, not a whole lot. 2943 doesn't look anything fancy at all. Let's see what else we got here, folks. I think that's about it. Space weather mentioned about these satellites being brought down, the Starlink satellites. I did post this earlier on my Facebook page on the article. I barbecued up some hamburgers tonight, and I used some black walnut bark. And man, do they come out yummy. It comes out delicious. You guys should try it if you haven't. I'm a big barbecue guy, so I kind of barbecue pretty much every other night. And the hamburgers came out perfect. Yeah, so it looks like the geomagnetic storm that we had last Thursday, I believe, brought down about 40 Starlink satellites due to that minor geomagnetic storm. Yeah, back on Thursday, February 3rd, looks like they launched 49 Starlink satellites to low orbit. And unfortunately, the satellites deployed on Thursday were significantly impacted by the geomagnetic storm on Friday. That's crazy, huh? And let's see here. The Starlink team commanded the satellites into a safe mode where they would fly edge on like a sheet of paper to minimize the drag. Up to 40 of the satellites will re-enter or already have re-entered the Earth's atmosphere. Looks like there's some stuff there floating around on YouTube of the incoming satellites there. It's pretty crazy. Keep your eyes open. SpaceX says that the deorbiting satellites pose zero collision risk with other satellites and are designed to demise upon atmospheric re-entry, meaning no orbital debris is created and no satellite parts hit the ground. Okay, that's really reassuring. Crazy. So look for that. Look for that in the sky if they haven't already fallen completely. But imagine us having a major solar storm creating havoc up there with all the space junk that's up there. It's just getting ridiculous. I'm majorly into nighttime photography. I go out a lot here in my backyard with my camera and shoot up some long exposure photography. And I don't know. There's a lot of satellites out there. I think there's way too many. It's just only going to get worse. But it's just kind of scary to think that we have something major going on with the sun and subsequent damage to many satellites up there. What could what could possibly happen? You never know. They always say that there's no risk, but the possibility, I think, is always there. You just never know. You just have to be the unfortunate one below, right? Oh, goodness. All right, folks, I'm going to jump off of here. I hope everyone has a good night. There's that latest quake there. Look at all that deep movement on the in the Fiji Islands area. Got to watch this area pretty closely here. Nothing really large going on, but the deep movement here tends to trigger a lot of subsequent activity down here surface-wise, and also up here to the west. So we got to watch this area pretty closely here very soon. All right, guys, enjoy your evening. I'm going to sit back and enjoy my black walnut smoked hamburgers. Have a good night, everyone. We'll chat you guys a little bit later, and also we'll be back up there. I need to make an appointment with someone at the Calpine Energy place there at the Cobb Mountain in the Clear Lake Volcanic Field. Hopefully I'll be able to get an interview at a later date and maybe get a tour of the place for the channel. We'll see, though. These guys are kind of tight-lipped and just a little on the shady side, if I say so myself, when it comes to releasing any info out about the operations down there. Yes, there's a lot that they have on the public domain, USGS and whatnot, and the Calpine site. But I don't know, it just seemed a little fishy. All right, guys, we'll chat you a little bit later. Stay safe and have a good night. We'll chat you guys pretty soon. Peace.